Grayskull is mine.
East Coast Horror Group.
They're here.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
East Coast Horror Group presents Dead Eye Movie Reviews.
Salutations and mutilations! You're listening to East Coast Horror Group presents Dead On Movie Reviews. Tonight, we will present horror movie reviews and lively debate here on EastCoastHorrorGroup.com and on future select Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can join our live chat at that time by clicking on the live shows link on the EastCoastHorrorGroup.com website. I should have hit that post a little better. Sorry about that, folks. I'm your host, Tim Kretschmann, and I'm coming to you from the east coast of Lake Michigan, and it's my honor to introduce the Faculty of Fear panel presenting tonight's lectures. And we start with our good friend, Adam Holtzapfel. He's our hardcore East Coast Horror Group columnist, and he won't brag, but he is in fact the Taco King. His text articles and other content is a newly formed backbone to the website. He's back for another appearance here on Dead On Movie Reviews, and he's brave enough to turn on the camera. How you doing, Adam?
Good. How are you, Tim?
I'm doing great. We're having a great day here in Milwaukee. We just got about an inch of snow, and it took me about 3 times as long to drive home tonight, which it's funny because we get 8 inches of snow, no problems. One like little micro inch of snow, and all of a sudden everything goes to shit because none of the plows go out. So it's like big surprise. Should I introduce him even though he's not yet on? Let's introduce him anyway because he likes people talking about him when he's not here. And coming, but a little bit later, he's the meat. He's America's little sweetheart. He's the only and lonely Rich Dalzotto. He'll be joining us later in the show. Wasn't available right now, but he will be joining us. So you have that to look forward to. I'm sure you're really excited about that. And
Nobody is.
least but last, we have the face of Jace, the sincere zombie apologist, the man of 2 voices. He's Coach Michael Exler, the Dean of Students. Hello, Coach.
Hi, Tim. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm having a great day. I'm nice and safe after driving around in Hell's Kitchen there. It was just terrible to drive home. And kind of surprising because this is Milwaukee. We do snow. When this happens in Atlanta, you kind of go, well, they don't know what they're doing. Ugh, very irritating. Hey, we got a lot on today's show. And what we're going to do is, I haven't talked to you guys which order we want to go in. So I'm going to start with Adam while we know his microphone is working. I think that's probably the best way to go. So we'll start with you, Adam. What have you been watching?
I watched 1973's The Sinful Dwarf, 92 minutes, which is good. Any longer, I don't think I could have pushed through. So it's basically about this mother and her dwarf son who run a boarding house and smuggle heroin through stuffed animals. Olaf, the dwarf, he entices girls back to their place with those battery-operated dogs that turn their head and bark. and then turn them into sex slaves. So it's basically a lot of TNA, a lot of full frontal nudity, a
Nice.
couple of little wangs, but not from the dwarf, which is a good thing.
Wow.
Um,
You know,
it's just your typical Denmark exploitation flick that's worth a watch, but I won't put it in regular rotation.
Well-
It's, if you need a night of what the fuck movies, pair this up with the Greasy Strangler, pop some popcorn,
ugh.
and we at least know the second flick of that duo will be the better of the two.
Oh God. Oh, I hated that thing. So Sinful Dwarf, what was interesting to me was the cover art, oddly. Because the
Right.
cover art, I read an entire book, believe it or not. It was called Paperbacks from Hell. And it was just about paperbacks from the late 70s through like the mid to late 80s, that there were just hundreds and hundreds of horror paperbacks that came out. And a lot of the interesting part about this book was seeing those old soft cover graphics. And this looked like it was just of that time, of these kind of, bizarre and disturbing cover art, but it was the poster. And I found this other picture that I keep putting up there of the dwarf with a cane. And I kind of get the feeling that the drawings are probably better than the actual movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a horrible movie, but it's not a great movie either. A lot of it reminded me of They Call Her One Eye and Foxy Brown, where they have women strung out on heroin and then are prostituting them to gentlemen. But other than that, it kind of feels like as a precursor to those two.
Okay.
But once you've seen the two better known films, it kind of suffers from
Comparison.
that. Yeah. So
Okay. Now,
it's
this is pretty rare to find or pretty easy to find, this one?
no, Severin released a Blu-ray of it a couple years ago, and they'd done a DVD run prior to that. Okay. So it shouldn't be too hard to find on physical media. Streaming, I haven't really looked into if anywhere has it. I don't think it'd be easy to find that route.
Yeah. Now,
maybe Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I thought I looked for it, and you'll definitely get a link to it in the show notes somewhere for this thing.
Now, is that a politically correct term now? Like dwarf? Can you say that? Is that bad?
I hope so. Otherwise, the Walt Disney Company's got some issues.
Yeah, Snow White and the Seven Little People.
I don't. Are they? Oh man, I don't even know the rules anymore.
Me either.
Well, that you haven't been following what they like to be called as midgets. Midgets.
It's probably not true at all.
You sure?
Yeah.
You know who we should ask is when Rich comes on, because Rich has an interesting approach to the subject matter.
Rich is pretty sinful too, so
there's a story behind that. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think. Can we tell it? Probably not.
I definitely would not.
Okay, we're not going to tell that story. But those of you that know it, you're laughing very deeply now. Okay, so do you want to grade this sucker?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, hold on now. Come on. How many hands do you think I have here? I got to press all sorts of buttons. Okay. All right. I'm ready.
I'd give it a C plus. It's definitely worth a watch. While it may not be the best movie out there, I think it would be at home on any genre fan shelf.
Okay, so people should check it out if they come across it cheap on one of the streamers. It's something that they should check. See, this to me is one of those movies that probably every so often gets blown out there on Amazon or Netflix, but not necessarily all the time. You know?
Right.
It's one of those types of flicks, I'm thinking. All right. Well, Rich isn't on, right? Have you guys been checking? Because I'm trying to keep things rolling here.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything.
So that means you're next, Mike.
Oh no.
What do you remember what you've been watching? You want a reminder?
Yeah.
You want a reminder?
No, I remember.
Okay. Mike, what have you been watching?
So to stick with sort of the retro theme, I went back to 1989.
Woo! Oh, I don't know.
I was 9 years old at the time.
Wow.
And it's the name of my film is Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge. Yes. Clocking in at 91 minutes.
You know what? Okay, let's talk about this for just a second. That's the right length for horror movies, right? These 2.5 hour things are way too long.
I think a lot of our favorites from the 80s, they don't have a long runtime.
They're in that 80 to 90 minute range.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's
just
the sweet
think
spot.
It's better. It's better
Yeah.
because horror, you can't sustain that for 2.5 hours. I don't think it's sustainable.
That's when it's called drama.
Yeah. Who needs more of that? We've had plenty of drama around here lately. I don't
Drama for your mama.
All right, so Eric's Revenge. When I was looking this thing up, I saw Pauly Shore all over this thing. Is this a comedy or is this a horror movie?
Well, let me get to that.
Okay.
We're going to get to Pauly Shore. I have a little spiel I want to do.
Okay. We're sitting back,
so,
and I will give you the third degree when you're done.
Yes. Essentially what we have here is a guy. I love the IMDb thing. I don't usually read them, but I have to read this first part.
Okay.
A guy called Eric owns a huge house, and some greedy people want to build a mall over it. So they get someone to burn his house down. Eric is badly burned, but not dead. A guy called Eric. I just find that wording funny.
It's pretty informal, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes.
mean, the title makes you think it's a sequel.
Yeah, it does, and for some reason they decided to do it at this stage, so they have to do a backstory. So they take a little bit of time to do that backstory, and it's mostly done in montage, and I'll get to that real quick as well.
A montage. Well, the 80s was the pinnacle of montage technology, was it not?
Oh, it was, and yeah.
Except for, what was it? Team America? World Police?
World Police, yeah.
That had a montage. Whew.
That was a good one.
And
there
some
was,
hot puppet action.
I thought I wrote this down in my notes, but I did not. There had to be no less than 6 to 7 musical montages in this film.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, here it is. I wrote it. It is overwhelmingly 80s most of the time. They didn't care that they were time stamping this film in 1989 because they were at the mall. I mean, the fashion was there, the accessories, all that kind of stuff. The stores. It was so crazy to see some of the stores that I do remember from my childhood.
Well, you know what, though? 89, that was probably the peak of malls before they started turning. And, now I don't know, in your area, I'm sure this is true too. The malls are closing by us.
Yeah.
I went to the mall this weekend and 2 different stores had going out of business sales. And I was like, wow, that I never saw before.
They just condemned one of the largest malls here, the entire building.
Oh my
so.
God. Wow.
So I did watch this film on Laserdisc, which I was pretty excited about. I got a mint factory sealed Laserdisc, actually. So I was able to
And
open
you
this up and
defiled
watch
it?
Huh?
You defiled it by actually watching it?
Actually, if you do have a copy of something that you really like that's factory sealed
Yeah.
for Laserdisc, you might want to take it out of that because for some reason, the plastic will shrink and it'll bend the corners of the jacket up.
Of the disc. So, okay. So,
it is good to take that out.
okay.
Take that off. But I just like that this was pressed back in, probably 1989 at some point and just sat sealed somewhere that nobody gave a fuck about it. They're like, fuck this thing. I'm not watching it or even opening it. And then fucking so many years later, 2019, I was like, oh shit, I need this in my life. And I found it.
Yeah, it's like almost 25 years it was probably sitting there.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So so it's obviously this is a twist on the Phantom of the Opera. After a year after this dude was set alive or set, he was burned alive. Basically, everybody thought he was dead.
Okay.
And I said before, it's set in a new mall, and which apparently is a huge deal back in 1989 because the mayor was involved and they had publicity in the news, and when this thing opened up, like it was some huge deal. And
well, wait a minute. You're not that young. You remember 1989. That was a huge deal at that time. A mall opening?
I just remember going to the mall.
Oh my God. When a mall would open, holy crap. It was major.
Oh, people lost their shit when malls opened.
Huh.
Nowadays, it's if the Home Depot or Menards opens nearer to your house. So the next time you're doing something, you don't have as far to run when it all goes to hell on you.
Yep.
Well,
goddamn, there's a new Menards. Let's go.
I know what that is.
I got my 11% paper bag with me. I'll get a discount. You don't have that out by you, do you? You don't get Menards.
It's like a cheaper Home Depot or Lowe's.
Except it's got 100% more awesome. 100%.
Yeah.
100.
It's almost like the Walmart of home renovation stores.
Except I got you.
100% more awesome.
It's more awesome, I hear.
It is. It is. Okay.
So we have a plethora of stars in this film that I do want to talk about.
Let's do it.
So the first one is Morgan Fairchild.
Okay, that is her and Tanya Roberts were my first 2 crushes for me to discover myself with. I just loved Morgan Fairchild.
What does that mean? What?
So this is pre-Old Navy commercials, Morgan Fairchild?
She was on a TV show called Flamingo Road. Look that one up. And she was hot. She was kind of like a female JR on that show. But nobody cared because she was hot. Okay, I'm sorry.
So Morgan Fairchild, she played the mayor of the town that has the new mall opening up.
How progressive.
So that is her role in the film. I don't know. I don't know much about Morgan Fairchild. I know who she is, but I haven't seen her in much.
She was also in, what was it called? The Fan with Andrew Stevens?
What?
I feel like Adam would know this. You never heard of this?
No clue.
Oh, there was a movie called The Fan where Morgan Freeman is, again, a hot movie star. And Andrew Stevens... Did I say Morgan
He did
Freeman?
say Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Fairchild. It could be
Mark
Morgan
the tape.
Freeman. They
Mark the
actually,
tape,
if they're
like
standing next to each other, it's hard to tell the difference. But Morgan Fairchild's like this, kind of like a Heidi Klum model, doing all sorts of stuff. And Andrew Stevens is a stalker and is trying to kill her. I'm positive I have the name of this movie right. I will look it up as you continue.
I remember a movie called The Fan with De Niro,
With
and
De
it was a
Niro,
baseball.
yeah. But
So
I'm looking this
it's
up.
basically plain Misty for me, except minus Clint Eastwood and the chick from Arrested Development.
I know I have this right. I just have to look this up. Okay, keep going. Keep going.
Okay, so that brings me to Pauly Shore, who he's just this dude that works in the mall at one of the in the mall eating dispensaries, and it's funny because this is like Pauly Shore before he became Pauly Shore.
So he
In
isn't
this
talking
film-
about weasels or anything?
No, he does. He hasn't found his gimmick yet, or they didn't want that gimmick for this film, so there was no Buddy or Weasel, like shit like that.
So
Okay,
he
I
is
had the
serving
name of the movie.
grindage.
I found I do need to correct this. I had the wrong name of the movie. It was actually called The Seduction, 1982.
Oh,
mine
it sounds
just-
so much like The Fan.
Well, I was positive. I think it might have originally been named that. I thought I remember seeing trailers with The Fan, but it's the storyline. I got pretty close, so you should check it out. It is a good cheesy 1982 movie.
I don't know what the hell the name of it is. I'm
The
confused.
Seduction!
Oh,
God damn it! Don't make me come over there.
it'll be a long time. So,
Particularly if
yeah,
I'm
he
walking.
definitely he was not doing his Pauly Shore that we all know and some love and some do not love.
Wasn't his big breakout role Encino Man, or they thought it was going to be Encino Man, and then Brendan Fraser was the one that actually broke out from that flick?
I have no idea.
My Pauly Shore trivia lack of knowledge is showing. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I thought he just got beat big from being like on MTV.
that's true. I remember him being on there
And 'cause-
all the time.
Because his mom owned the fucking comedy store or whatever.
Right.
Being in Class Act with Kid and Play.
Fuck yeah.
Okay, so
I-
Pauly Shore is what, like a record store guy, or
He works in an eatery place that you can get food.
near food? Okay.
Yeah.
So it was
So,
a stretch of his acting ability.
It was. It was actually funny to try to watch him act seriously. He wasn't bad or anything or incompetent in the film. It was just like, you're not doing what I'm used to you doing. So it was weird watching it, actually.
Interesting. Okay.
So we have Ken Foray as a security guard.
Oh,
We
yeah.
all know Ken from Dawn of the Dead and all that other kind of stuff. And we've interviewed him a bunch. So Ken Foray is a security guard. He just walks around and yells a lot. And just wears sunglasses and is Ken Foray, basically, in the film. And the biggest cameo in the film, undoubtedly, is, I don't even know the guy's name, but he was in Friday the 13th, Part 6. He's the guy that tells the rock story to the kids at the camp. He was at Days of the Dead, Charlotte. We interviewed him. He's a really big nose.
But you don't
in any
know
case-
his name?
Oh, is it Tom Fridley?
Yeah, that guy. That's him.
Oh, I
Yeah.
just found him.
The dude from Karate Kid?
Yeah, so he was there in it. He plays the jerky kid of the owner of the mall. And the other thing I wanted to point out is the mall owner was like a king in this town, man. Like he brought all these people together in all these shops, so everybody like kissed his ass and shit. And I don't know why.
Holy
But that's how
shit!
it went.
I'm looking at the cast. You know who else is in this movie?
No,
Kelly Rutherford. Do you know who that is?
no clue.
She's one of those that girl type things where she's in like every TV series you can think of, and oh god, she was in Gossip Girl, she was in The District, she was in I remember her from The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. She was in Melrose Place, she was in one of the Scream movies. I don't know that she was ever like the star of a TV show, but she was always like one of the people in it. She was in Kindred the Embraced. She's just one of those girls that when you see her, you go, "Oh, that chick. I've seen her in 100 things." She was in Bill and Ted, in the TV series. It looks like okay, but I'm just looking at her IMDb and it's just filled with TV show after TV show that she's been in. Pretty Little Liars. Jesus Christ, she's still working. But did somebody just join, or I think we lost Mike.
I'm still here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm still
There
here.
was a weird beep on this end.
Rich is on Skype.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was it. I just saw her name. I'm like, holy shit.
We have to add Rich. You're not paying attention to me.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
I don't know how to do it from this fucking phone.
Yeah. Okay. I'll take care of that. You keep going.
All right. So where was I? Let me see on my notes. So yeah, he gets actually his death scene's actually pretty cool. There are a few cool death
Wait,
scenes.
spoiler alert.
Yeah, no one's gonna watch this. Are you kidding me? So what else? Yeah, again the montages were crazy. The sex dream music montage was over the top. That's where I kind of fell out of the montage thing. I was like, that's fucking stupid. I was like, this is nuts.
So was it all like 80s new wave music? Or?
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Okay.
it was all of that. Nothing like that they would have had to pay big money to use in the film.
See, I'm confused because Pauly Shore, I would say by 1989, he was deep on MTV. Because he kind of disappeared once Yo MTV Raps happened, and that was like 90, if I'm remembering right.
I don't know. He was not Pauly Shore at all in this film.
God, this
Yeah, I didn't think he is until like the 92, 93 era.
This is blowing my mind. Rich, you're on, right?
Hello!
Hello,
I'm
Rich.
on.
Hello.
We are in the middle of the review of Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge from 1989. And Mike continues.
So we were talking. One of the cameos, Rich, is actually Ken Foray as a security guard. So I thought you'd like to hear that he was in it. And
Yeah.
he walked around with sunglasses on and yelled at people a lot. That was his role. So,
Probably the highlight of the movie, I would guess.
I mean, it was up there. It was up there. I do find it funny that, like, they were in a Sam Goody looking for CDs, but all the CDs were in those long boxes. Do you remember those?
Oh,
I love
yeah!
those things.
And then the artists all came together and like, we're cutting down too many trees and we need to blah. So the long boxes went away.
But we'll still pump out the CDs on a plastic that will never go away.
Exactly. So silly musicians. So it was kind of cool to see that. The arcade scene was really cool. Reminded me of Tilt at the Village. Rich, I'm sure you remember Tilt.
Yeah.
Definitely going back to the heyday of the mall and that arcade. Uh, we were talking about or Tim was saying that a lot of malls out his way are closing, and they just condemned Century 3 Mall here in Pittsburgh, so that thing is shut down finally.
Right.
Rich, talk about that thing in the heyday. Like, what time era would you say like that thing hit its heyday, and how busy was it?
Mid to late 80s was its heyday, in my opinion. I mean, now granted, that was also when I was driving to go out there, so it felt like the heyday. But
Yeah.
damn, man, you'd go into that place and you felt like you were in a one of those 80s movies that takes place at a mall in California.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because all the time growing up and stuff, I'm like, man, they got it so much better in California and this and that. And it was, I mean, that's the easiest way to describe it, is you felt like you were in one of those movies based on the stores, just the atmosphere and vibe, the amount of people. Unlike South Hills Village, which, you know, has always just been very mundane. You're there to get what you need.
Yeah, right. It's definitely
But no,
different.
this place was awesome. It was just, it was a blast. I mean, it just, you know, it was a great place to hang out as a teenager.
Yeah, this film took place in 1989, Rich.
Yeah, that's right about the same era. I mean, I remember going Christmas shopping out there in 1989.
Well, I
Nice.
know I looked through a lot of photos before I put the little slideshow together that's on here. And I noticed the mall. First of all, I noticed the Kinney shoes, which I
Yeah.
remember that being a place to get shoes. But I also noticed like all the lights were either green or red. And I remember that from malls at that time. In fact, I was reading an article on one of the malls that was closing near here not too long ago, and they called it the Neon Age, where everything was either neon lights or some sort of, some sort of lighter jewel tone type of color.
Right.
It does give a kind of interesting vibe, but it was supposed to make everybody feel like the place was electric, like something was going to happen at any moment. But that is a bygone era, right?
Oh, it's sad. And the mall that Mike and I were talking about that we kind of grew up in, South Hills Village, I don't know if you saw, Mike, it's not going to be the mall that we have known all these years anymore. They're demolishing it and building something new.
Really?
It's going to be an indoor mall, but also attached to it, like one big building is going to be outside shopping also. Up where the Sears auto place is, they're putting in this like 3-story fitness place and putting a huge outdoor pool, swimming pool.
That's what you need in Pittsburgh.
Swimming pools go over, outdoor pools, especially in Pittsburgh, are important.
I mean,
And
get so
fitness
much
is
For
Yes.
what, the ice skating during 3 months of the year?
I mean, you get
The new location for the polar plunge.
yeah.
Mike and I have that under control. I don't know if you filled them in.
No, I don't think they didn't ask.
Yeah, Mike and I skipped the polar plunge.
Oh, you did?
Do you want to explain why, Mike?
I'll
Too
explain
cold?
because they did not upfront say that it wasn't going to go in the river. So they've got 2 pools from like Pool City and set it up outside. Portable pools, and set it up outside of Heinz Field, and that's what you were plunging into. And that is lame.
I did not want to climb out of the ladder, this rinky-dink portable ladder with my big fat ass. This just had to make it because of something bad happening. So I'm like, I'm done.
That was not so much a concern of mine. I was just pissed that it's not in the river. Like, what the fuck is the point of going into a pool?
So Mike and I
bizarre.
will be choosing the next very cold weekend day that we are both available. There is a lake near my house, and we are going to have our own polar plunge.
Just you two?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, you need to have somebody film this.
We will.
We
and I
need
might
that for
be
the
naked.
site. Because we haven't actually produced our own horror movie yet, then we'll have one.
It'll be in a Speedo.
I'm really thinking about going naked.
We can put a black bar up and post.
The night there's two moons in Pittsburgh.
God.
2 more moons of Endor.
Oh.
We
You can go with a black dot.
Yeah, but who has to put that on the film? I'm telling you, that is not what I signed up for. I will not do it.
Too late, Tim.
Oh.
It's in the contract.
No,
Fine.
it is not. And neither is your cannibal killer clown on dope thing either.
Well, Tim, you just ruined the surprise for the next episode.
Well, I was thinking that should definitely be when Otherworldly launches. That should definitely be the first Dead On.
Seconded.
Okay, tell us about Phantom on the Mall. Phantom on the Mall. Phantom on the Mall.
I'm voting with Tim no on it. We're at a stalemate, boys.
Danielle has the deciding vote, and she has already voted for Cannibal Killer
No,
Clown.
you don't have proof of that.
I do.
You do not have proof. Allow me
It's
some more
an art
time to work
chat.
on Danielle. I'm very charming when I try.
No.
And
start crying.
you forgot we have Tracy too.
Oh.
Yeah. I think I can talk the ladies into it. I'm the most charming.
But in any case, Phantom of the Malls, we've gotten way off the beaten trail of what we were talking about. Fuck, I don't know.
Glad I could help.
It's like I said, like I can't get out of my head that it's just like it screams fucking 80s, man. It's just like they gave zero fucks. They were like, let's turn the 80s up to 93.
But they didn't know that
rock it.
at the time. They didn't know.
But
they
there
were
are other
80s.
movies that take place in the 80s that are not as time stamped as this fucking movie,
okay.
man. Because you were in a mall the entire time, so everything is like you guys have been saying, like the neon. There's 9 billion fucking people in there. It's a huge deal. There's this fucking crazy fashion that's only acceptable in the 80s. The hairstyle. It's just all centralized the entire film. It's crazy.
Okay. You think that's the most 80s movie of all time. Does anybody else have any they would like to nominate? Because I have a movie that I think is the most 80s of all time.
Me too.
Go ahead, Rich, with yours.
Dirty Dancing.
Dirty Dancing is set in the 60s.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
80s.
But it does have an 80s vibe, I'll give you that. Even
I
though
just
it's set in the
wanted to add Dirty Dancing to the show again this week.
60s. Okay, thank you for that.
I'm going to nominate Terror Vision.
Terror
Ooh, that's a
Vision?
good one. That's good.
I am going to pick one that I'm not sure if you've seen, but this was a standard by me. I remember watching it on VHS when VHS had those bigger boxes before they were basically the size of the tape. Remember when they were like a little bit larger box?
Yeah, they call those big boxes.
Okay. Fuck you. The movie starred Anthony Michael Hall. It was called Out of Bounds.
You go, ooh, good one.
Did you ever see this? Because like every time you turn around, it's like here's another 80s pastiche. You know, it's like at one point they're in the middle of talking to somebody and he breaks out a Rubik's Cube and starts doing a Rubik's Cube in the middle for no freaking reason. It was like, oh, we heard this is cool this week. Let's do this. Trust me, if you liked that aspect of Phantom of the Mall, you got to check out this movie Out of Bounds. It cracks me up every time I watch this thing.
I'll also nominate Joysticks.
What's that?
It's an 80s sex comedy centralized in an arcade. It's great.
Oh, I did hear this. Didn't it have Joe Don Baker in it or something?
And John Grise that played Uncle Rico in Napoleon Dynamite, and he is also the boyfriend in Terror Vision.
Well, you know what he's best known for? If this is the right John Grise, he was the werewolf
In
Fright Night
Monster
2.
Squad. Yep.
In Fright Night 2. He also played one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which is Rich's favorite movie. John Grice was also in a TV show called The Pretender or something.
He is also in a few episodes of Lost.
The Mentalist.
It was something called a Pretender.
Call Rich by his nickname.
All right. Anyway, we're going down a rabbit hole. So, okay, very, very 80s movie, Eric's Revenge. I'm guessing the hairstyles are very 80s then as well. All the feathered hair and all that stuff.
Tons of hairspray, feathered hair.
Mustaches? Do you get mustaches?
You do. I mean, it's
right.
like thinking about it, it's like an 80s commercial. I mean, there was a brown derby in there as far as food goes, like a piercing pagoda.
I need to find this movie now. Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to date yourself, if you're from the 80s, if you're an 80s kid, again, this movie will do it for you because literally there's every item that you could possibly buy. Spencer's, I think some sort of Spencer's was in there. And yeah, it was. But the funny thing is, I find that that's the only thing I'm taking away from the film is that it's a nice,
I thought of
80s.
I thought of another nominee for a great 80s movie. Have any of you seen Tapeheads?
Oh, yeah.
Tapeheads with John Cusack and Tim Robbins?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my God. I love that movie to death. But, oh, God. All right. Okay. So, I'm guessing we never even talked about it. Does Eric go around and kill people then?
Yeah, there's a main character that's female that he is in love with that happens to work at the mall, and he is bound and determined to save her from being harmed in any way, shape, or form. So basically, he just kills anybody that might even look at her cross and or have any feelings for her, and then it ends in a climactic ending that could set up for a sequel, but I don't think it did. Didn't. Sadly, Eric did not have his revenge.
Well, I think it's probably time for grading. What are you grading Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge at?
It's I have to go with just a straight out C.
A straight out C.
Because
mine. So we've had a C plus and a C on this show.
Yeah, and you have an F minus as well.
F minus.
Yeah, do you remember what got an F minus?
Oh,
Cannibal Killer Clowns.
All right, okay. Let's go to Rich before this gets any worse. Rich, what have you been watching?
Movies.
Thank you, Rich. Oh, wait.
Dirty Dancing.
Hold on. I forgot. My fault. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, he's come off the street. His name is Meat. And the Meat is on the way. He's America's little sweetheart, the original Ace of Base. He's the killer clown of getting down, the speedy freak that loves to speak and streak. He's the only, he's the lonely, Rich Dalzotto.
Hello again.
I hit the post perfectly that time.
You did.
Yeah. All right.
So, what I've been watching is 2018's The Lodgers.
Okay.
This was a Dead Central Presents movie. I don't know if you guys have been following that, but they've been promoting a movie, trying to monthly help it get into theaters and things of that nature. Have you been noticing that at all?
We were talking about they seem to be pushing a lot of flicks, but Adam is dubious as to their quality level. I don't think I've seen any of them.
The quality level is, we actually showed a couple at a theater that will not be named prior to us not being at that theater any longer. And actually, The Lodgers we were supposed to show, but then we no longer were at that theater, so we had to help them move to another local movie house.
We call them cinema houses. Cinema house.
Cinema house.
Yeah. Right.
The quality is it's better than in my opinion, overall, that most of them have been better than like your everyday independent film. I mean, there's a little bit of production and money behind most of them. Not
Okay.
much.
Okay.
Not much. I mean, they're just a step above indie, I would say. And depending on your definition, you might still put them in indie. Or
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Is this the same set of films that you showed at that theater that won't be named? Like, I think I saw one there about people stuck on a boat.
Jaws.
Stop it! You are just trying to attack Jaws, and I won't have
what?
it. The greatest movie that was ever made.
Well, actually, being dead serious, there was.
What was it? I don't
Was it
remember.
Beneath? Was it the movie Beneath with a giant fish with teeth?
Was
they were
it
stuck on a
Triangle?
rowboat?
It's not. I think it might have been Beneath.
How long ago was this, Mike?
It's been a minute.
They're on like a rowboat, and for some reason
Yeah.
they can't. Yeah, that's Beneath, which is, I would say Rich's definition is just right for that movie. It isn't quite one of those things where you can tell they just made it in mom's house and, shot it using whatever lights were available. But it also was something that could be made relatively inexpensively.
Well, to answer your question, then, Mike, maybe.
Thank you.
That was definitive.
So anyway, The Lodgers. First of all, I'm not going to talk about director or any actors or actresses' names because you've never heard of any of these people, and I doubt you ever will.
Okay. Actually, there's a picture of one of the guys from Game of Thrones that I kept seeing, and it just came up. And,
Really?
Yeah, and he was in The Strain, which was my favorite vampire TV series of recent memory.
Well, that might make sense because this film takes place in Ireland. It's supposed to take place in Ireland. You can't tell if it's right after, like, when World War One is wrapping up or the Irish Revolution or whatever they called it. I can't tell, but it's early 20s
Okay.
era roughly. And the long and short of this movie, like, it's supposed to be a ghost story. And that's what had me excited. You find out within the first 5 minutes that there are this brother and sister living in this old Gothic type mansion. And they're the only ones there. It looks like nobody's, the furniture's covered in sheets and things of that nature, like, people used to do when they abandoned houses or it was their summer home.
Mm-hmm.
But they're living there, and you find out quickly that they need to each be in their bedroom by midnight. Otherwise, there's this trap door in the that water starts coming out of on the ground floor, and you don't know initially, but you know that there's something evil that comes out of there.
Okay.
And if they're not in their bedroom, then they are at their fate is in evil's hand, I guess is the easiest way to say it. So that's the first 5 minutes, this crap. And then you find out the next day they get up, you find out they're twin brother and sister, and it's their 18th birthday. And they start alluding to the fact that now they're of age to basically continue the family line, whatever the curse of this home is that ties into the ghost story of this house. Basically, their family is cursed, and it's now their time to take the place of what their mother and father did before them and their grandparents. So, okay, when are we going to start seeing ghosts? It's an hour and 40-minute movie, and there's just these brief shots of what are kind of like ghosts, but there's nothing suspenseful or scary or spooky about it. It's lame. There's no other way to say it.
Okay.
And the story, it's just weak. It never really. They finally get to why this curse is on them and what started it, but the build-up's so horrible you don't even care about the end. It's just really weakly written. I don't have much to say. It's a movie I really wanted to like. It was a cool setting. I like ghost stories, but it just was. It's not really well done at all. I mean, it was. I could have given up. I would have been fine with no spooky ghosts and stuff like that, which there aren't really. If the story was strong, but the story's weak.
Oh boy.
Um,
I did look up, by the way, for Game of Thrones fans. I did look up the guy. His name is David Bradley. He played Walder Frey, who was the guy that hosted the Red Wedding. Okay,
Oh,
so
yeah.
you know who that is.
There was actually another guy from Game of Thrones, the Lannister cousin that went to the Sparrow side.
oh yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, and
So I
that
guess-
starts up soon, so get ready,
The
everybody.
most interesting part of this movie was the brother basically was a shut-in, and they did a good job of making him look pasty and like he hadn't left the house in years. And the sister would get out there and get into town to get him food and stuff. And essentially, it was kind of a battle between the two of them. He was accepting their fate, and she's like, "I'm leaving this place. I'm not accepting our fate." And it was but they had that twin bond, and she didn't want to leave without him. And that was the most interesting part, was kind of the back and forth between them, and the fact that they almost had sex. That was interesting. Other than that,
Another Lancaster tradition.
yes. But really, there's not much to say because this movie didn't have any meat. I mean,
No meat from the meat.
it's tough to describe something that couldn't even, it couldn't find its way. I mean, there's nothing to describe. It was boring.
Okay, well then we'll get to the grades on it.
Oh, okay.
What did you want to grade this bad boy?
I'm going to give it a D minus. The
Wow.
only reason I'm not giving it an F is because the sister was hot.
Oh, well
Sure.
that is crucial. That is crucial. And those that are wondering what hot looks like, we'll have that up on the screen in just a second. All right. So
You know it.
Oh, by the way, where was my bell?
what do you mean your bell?
Isn't there a? Don't you ring?
Yeah,
something?
that's actually it's running on the tape, but you're not going to be able to hear it right now.
Really
Yeah,
threw me off.
it's something we're working on. It's something I'm working on. Just cool it. Cool it. I got video working tonight, so that's cool. For
Yeah, that's
two
unfortunate.
people. Yep.
I see your head moving, Tim.
Okay, so now it's my turn. What have I been watching? And I forget. What did I watch? Oh, yes, I saw Frankenhooker. And I got notes. Now, I'm assuming you guys all have seen this already.
Lovely.
Oh yeah.
This
Yes.
was on my list of shame. It was one that kept coming up. I never checked it out. And I have to admit, I was a little surprised when I looked it up on IMDb and it said it was 1990, because this movie felt like mid to early 80s to me so much. And I found out it took like 12 years to put this movie together, and I kind of wonder if that's why I had that feel, because a lot of the cars they're driving are like they're late 70s cars, because that's what I learned how to drive on, and I'm sitting there and I'm going, that's too big for 1990. They didn't have that car anymore. All right, what to say about Frankenhooker? For those that don't know, this is the story of poor dear Jeffrey Franken, who kills his girlfriend by mistake with a remote control lawnmower that he designed. And his girlfriend is in the most unconvincing fat suit of all time, which is strictly there to hide Patty Mullen's smoking hot body. Jeffrey Franken has one of the most regional New Jersey accents I've ever heard in my life. It actually started to nauseate me. I now know how people react to the movie Fargo, which sounds rather normal to me. That East Coast New Jersey accent, it was starting to really work on me. And I think a lot of that is because it takes so long of Jeffrey Franken talking to himself before anything actually happens. We get a cameo of Zachary, a local spooky host. There is a parody of Morton Downey Jr., which really I thought was funny because that was hot for a hot minute. I did enjoy that Jeffrey liked drilling into his brain while delivering dialogue. Jeffrey Franken is the world's quintessential Morris the Explainer. He tells you everything he's doing. He's talking to himself and just says, well, now I'm going to do this. And now I'm going to do this. And now I'm going to do this. So that's kind of my rip against the movie is it is all exposition followed by exhibition later on. And I checked the timestamp. It was at 55 minutes when they finally make Frankenhooker. And I'll say the titular Frankenhooker from the title. They give us details that are so useless. Like some of the details you kind of enjoy because you get to see all the hookers that get put together to make Frankenhooker, and Frankenhooker uses a lot of lines that those girls have, so that kind of pays off. But then there's stuff like he says, oh, to pay off for the prostitutes, he's using his Christmas club account to pay for the prostitutes, which, you know, it's festive. I like it, but it's like, okay, but we're wasting an hour to get to the hot chick in the purple bikini. What's going on here? Now, there was lots of 80s nudity, some of it ill-advised, some of it okay. There was lots of new wave music and, of course, drugs and, what is it, super crack? That was just blowing up prostitutes left, right, and sideways, which I hear actually happens. And then you had, and this put a timestamp on it, Zorro the Killer Pimp running around in a pair of Zubas. I'm sitting there watching it. I'm like, holy crap, I haven't seen that on actual human beings since the last Day of the Dead. But it was interesting to see. But again, didn't feel like 90s. It felt more like 84, 86. So I don't know if they shot it and it took forever for it to get out or what. Now, you guys probably know this. Did this ever get a theatrical release, or was this one of those Full Moon Entertainment direct-to-video type things?
I believe.
I want to say it probably did get a release, at least in the bigger cities like New York and
Okay.
LA.
There was actually quite a bit that looked like it was shot on location in New York location. In fact, I thought there was more that looked like it was shot in New York than in Jason Takes Manhattan. It seemed like there was more going on by Times Square.
Well, Frank Henenlotter, the director, he did most of his production in New York, so it was legit New York.
Yeah. I don't know if he got permits for it, but
Doubtful.
yeah, but it actually looked good. The New York, her out on the rampage, those scenes really work, and I just wish they would have come in a little bit earlier, but it seems like once they get to Frankenhooker, they don't know what to do with Frankenhooker. They don't give her as much to do.
I wouldn't have known what to do with her.
I would have enjoyed finding my way. I also enjoyed that he sits there and he's spot welding his girlfriend back together. That was kind of a cute detail to it. I loved Patty Mullen's crazy walk and facial expressions that she did as Frankenhooker. I think when I saw trailers of this movie, I was like, that just looks silly and ridiculous, and it looks way over the top. But when you watch the movie, it kind of fits the rest of the film. So I was like, this is fun, and I enjoyed that she keeps going, want a date? Looking for action? It's just, you got money? It's good stuff. And then, okay, the last 10 minutes of the movie, I am spoiling this. I don't give a shit. I am spoiling this.
Oh no!
At the last 10 minutes of the movie, there's some disturbing body horror stuff that comes in with the refrigerator filled with prostitute parts. And it reminded me of the movie Society. If you remember, I did that movie once on this show. And I was like, that didn't seem to fit with everything else because it was actually frightening. And I was like, how did this get into this movie? Because I kind of saw this as a comedy with horror elements, not a horror movie with comedy elements. But I don't know. You guys have all seen it. What are your recollections of it? None of you remember it at all?
I love it. I think it's one of the classic 80s films that, depending on who you are, you've seen it or you haven't. I definitely think it stood the test of time. It's a quintessential film.
A quintessential film. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Mike, do you remember the movie at all?
Yeah, I do. I know it has a pretty intense fan base. I'm not really that big of a fan of the film.
Now, did you ever interview her? Because I know she did a lot of the circuit.
Yeah, at Horror Realm.
Okay. And did she have any interesting stories, or was it just a paycheck for her, a la Ernie Hudson?
I think at the time it was a paycheck. I think she has since realized like there's a fan base for the film and all that kind of stuff. But yeah. I think at the time it was just like, okay, that's going to buy some food and shit.
She was arguably one of the best guests we ever had at Horror Realm as far as fan interaction.
Oh, she was a sweetheart. I thought she was great.
You remember her playing cornhole in the lobby while people were drinking beer at night?
I do. She was very sociable.
Yeah.
That was your show was, I think, maybe only the second or third show she had been doing on this stretch. She had not done many shows. And
remember, Frank Henenlotter said I was the first convention he had ever done officially.
Yeah. No, actually, Horror Realm was the second convention she did because she just had done Mad Monster before that.
Nice. Yeah. That's cool. All right, I'm going to get to my grade on this because we are kind of running long. I don't know. I can't imagine how that happened. I am going to give the movie... I guess, here's the thing. When I watched it, I had written down in my notes a B-. That is not what I'm going to give it today because I have found myself all week describing scenes of this movie to coworkers that would never see this movie. Non-horror fans that are just like, you gotta be kidding me. That happened in the movie. Yes. He took a drill, put it right in his head, and he started talking about stuff. When I was describing it, I was having a great time describing this movie, so I am going to give it a B+. I think this is a movie that has grown on me. I've enjoyed it more after it. I will say this would probably be an A territory if they would just have gotten to Frankenhooker a little bit earlier. It just takes forever for them to get to that. And that was disappointing. But other than that, I loved it. He had a good time with it. So, we are at that point in the show where we've all got our reviews done, and it's time for us to talk about some of the things going on at eastcoasthorrorgroup.com. I guess, Mike, do you want to take that away, or what do you want to talk about?
I don't know. Adam just is going to be putting out some press releases. He'll talk about that a little bit. we're kind of into transition mode from East Coast Horror Group to Otherworldly Culture Radio.
Yeah.
So there will be some changes going on with that. We're going to hold off the last bit of panels that we did for the launch of the new venture. Put those out there, but we're going to keep a lot of the panels that we've done, all the dead-ons that we've done, and keep those in the archives and all of Adam's stuff, and just kind of transition to a new brand.
And should also mention, right now we have something new out there. We have the March Movie Madness. And what we did is we created some brackets. I had found an article. IMDb took the top 26 successful horror franchises. So they just went flatly on the box office take. And I put those out in brackets. Let's see if this will open. Oh my God, it worked. And there we go. You can vote on what your favorite franchise is. I'm going to obviously pick Fright Night here and vote, and bang. And you can see it's kind of neck to neck with Hellraiser right now. And you have all these different brackets going on. A lot of heavy voting out there. So get involved and have your favorite horror franchise represented. It's going on right now at eastcoasthorrorgroup.com, and we will be making some changes to the site soon, but you'll be able to type in eastcoasthorrorgroup.com for the foreseeable future now that that's been renewed. You can also get your Fast Custom shirt still at fastcustomshirts.com for East Coast Horror Group. What else am I supposed to be talking here? Did I cut everything?
Believe so.
Yeah, I think that's everything we're allowed to talk about right now, but keep an eye on the site. A lot of great articles going out. It's going to be pretty active out there. You're not going to want to miss it. And I don't know that we're going to tell everybody when it opens to the new look. We might just throw it out there and not tell anybody at first. So that's something you're going to want to keep an eye. Go back all the time. Every week, another round of movie March Madness will open up. So you're going to want to just keep going out to the site. Adam seems to write about 10,000 articles a week. So there will be stuff out there for you to take a look at. Rich, anything you want to add, or Adam?
No, I think you covered it.
All right. Okay, and it looks like we got everything here. Want to remind everybody, I hope you had a good President's Day. I write it in my notes to say have a happy holiday if there's one nearby. We do have we will have some more shows coming up soon. I haven't loaded them all into Facebook, all the times and dates and stuff, but never you fear, they are coming and we're putting those together. So just hang in there, Pumpkin, until our next show. And remember, as John Carpenter once said, horror is a reaction. It's not a genre. And join us next time.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
And that's it, guys. We're playing our little theme music out. And that means we're at the end of the show. Nice job, gentlemen.
Yeah.
We have to leave this go just a little bit so people click on those videos that they see up there if they're watching on YouTube. Click on one of these other videos and see some other great content from the folks at East Coast Horror Group. Soon to have a new name and brand. I know your excitement level is very high, so try to remain calm.
Brand X.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. Ha